Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Experts. My name is Hassani, and I'm joined by this phenomenal couple over here. Please introduce yourself.
And my name is Charmaine Jennings.
And my name is Walter Jennings. It's exciting to be here. Thanks for having us.
Ever since they've joined the team, we have quantum leaped in our competency. It's good to have amazing people who are able to impart incredible information to the people. And so we're glad to have them on the show. Listen, guys, there's a lot to get into. We want to encourage you to post your question now. Stop waiting. Get in there right now. Post your question. We know how it is. You go to a pool party, everybody's standing around the pool waiting for the first person to jump in. Well, guess what? Somebody's already jumped in and asked a question, so you can ask yours. But before we get started, just a few quick announcements this week. Oh, wrong one. This weekend, Last Chance Weekend, February the 11th through the 13th. Listen, we want you to pray for those who are going to be there. They're in crisis. They're going through tremendous heartache. Some of them don't even believe this is going to work. But your prayers and your positive energies will help to shift the atmosphere that particular weekend. And we're excited to always come back on that Monday morning with phenomenal testimonials of the transformation that was done both in their individual lives and the restoration in their marriage. So please put your hands forward and give it up. Now, if you are still trying to figure out, oh man, is there time left? We always can make space available for you. Simply reach out to us and we'll have that conversation. Also, listen, the Overcoming Emotional Triggers Masterclass, February the 19th, 2022, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It is going to be incredible. 4 hours of technique, methodology, and strategic ways to overcome your triggers. Someone asked in a show one morning, hey, can you give us homework? Well, you can't get homework unless you've first been a part of a class, right? So this comprehensive masterclass is not only going to give you work assignments in the class, but homework to follow up to ensure that you're successful when you get back home. So register for that. It's just $197 for a 4-hour experience. Also, last but not least, the Foundry, the 12-week men's coaching program. It starts in 2 weeks, February 23rd. Make sure you register. The links to everything that I just explained are in the description. See that description? This is what it looks like. Click that link. It'll open up to a page and you will be good to go. All right, guys, let's dive into these questions. Now, Charmaine and Walter, on yesterday, I believe you said someone came in at the tail end with a question. We want to start with that as we transition into the questions we have here. So take it away.
Okay, so this one, it was a good one. It was a deep one. By Jaguar Roach. She says, my husband cheated on me for years with multiple women, fathered a child with a mistress, and continued cheating. He was diagnosed with a sex addiction, made the commitment to stay, and he's been doing the right thing, but I still have so much hurt and anger. He's very sensitive. It makes me angry how after all of the pain he caused me, now I have to be so gentle and so patient with him. And so the question is, how can I release this rage and pain if I can't express it without hurting his feelings? That's a lot.
It is. How do I release the rage? The rage, we're talking about emotions, right? So on this emotional scale, there are a number of emotions. On one end, we have low vibrational emotions that represent sadness and depression. When a person is depressed, they don't feel like getting out of bed. They don't feel like brushing their teeth. They don't feel like eating. They don't feel like doing anything. All they want to do is sleep because they're so depressed. So on that end, there's zero energy, if you will, in that emotion. However, on the opposite end of this emotional scale is anger and rage. And anger and rage are highly intensified emotions where you just want to do something, right? So there's a process that we take people through called, interestingly enough, releasing the rage. So rather than exploding, rather than vomiting all over your spouse with your rage, there is a productive way to release it as opposed to the destructive way.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways to get rid of this toxicity, to get rid of these emotions, understand that the root of every emotion is a thought. So we
Yes.
gotta check your thought life. What are you thinking? If you're constantly wallowing in, ruminating in, meditating in what has been done,
Mm.
a negative thought creates a negative emotion. A positive thought creates a positive emotion. So, one of the ways to manage those emotions is to manage your thinking and to be conscious and intentional to master this area here, because this affects this, the heart. When you get this right, it helps with those emotions. But when you get to the point where your emotions are so intensified and you got to do something with it, well, one of the constructive ways to go about releasing it is through exercise. You know why people
Yes.
go to the gym? To burn off the stress and the energy and the negativity. They just need to be able to clear their minds. I got to work out. I got to go for a long walk and just get this thing off of me. I've got to journal because
Yes.
I'm releasing it through my journaling and getting it out. So rather than cussing you out, I'm gonna
Mm.
cuss this journal out till I get it all out of me. In essence, another thing you can do is meditate. The power
Mm.
of prayer and meditation. The Bible is replete with scriptures from Genesis all the way to Revelations about how to properly pray and meditate and cast your cares upon Him. And then the next thing, you got to have conversations with your spouse because your spouse plays a role in your healing process. So you're saying he's doing all the right things. Awesome. I hope some of that right would be engaging you in conversation, checking out where you are mentally and emotionally, figuring out how he can contribute to your healing, in addition to your your daily rituals to overcome your own issues. So those are just some of the things, but I will encourage you, as we just mentioned, you got to go to the Overcoming Emotional Triggers Masterclass, because that question you asked is so perfectly suited for this particular class to get a comprehensive answer and to give you techniques to help you overcome that particular struggle. Now, with my simplistic answer, I want to hear from the wise ones, Walter and Charmaine Jennings. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, amen, amen, amen. Everything you said, absolutely. It's important to, to position your energy, your efforts into what you want to get out of it. So right now, if there's that negative energy, there's that rage, there's that pain, first of all, and getting the really exercising some positive thinking as well as positive actions. Just when you're in that place, it's important to know that to keep it inside is to continue to just allow it to fester. So, yes, meditation is very, very powerful. If you are a creative type, the one thing I would add to that is even in your journaling, if you're a creative type, channel it through ways of being creative. So sometimes when if it's gardening, if it's creating something, building something, that can be very therapeutic as well. If that's who you are, if you're artsy, instead of just journaling, write a poem, create some art, create a visual art. So that is just another thing that I would add, a layer, that if you are that creative person, sometimes that can help as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate the sense of urgency to employ these productive strategies and these outlets, because she did mention also too, there's a child that is, so you have a physical reminder of that
Yeah.
indiscretion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're going to, so when you talk about triggers,
Mm.
you are going to have some physical triggers, not just memories, but you're going to have, and so when that child shows up, that is going to be something that you're going to have to be prepared for. And so again, just the sense of urgency of getting involved in exercising, finding yourself an outlet. And as Hassani mentioned, identifying not only the emotion, but giving it a voice, and then finding a constructive way to voice it, whether it's through a journal, whether it's through an activity, but really finding a productive way to deal with it and give it a voice so that you can address it in a healthy way.
And in
Be careful
addition
with your,
to, okay, I'm
also
sorry.
make sure that your group, that you're surrounding yourself with individuals that align with that positivity as well. Be careful with venting to those individuals that will only remind you of what was, instead of helping you to move forward in a healthy and yet productive way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just say you feel like, I want to hurt somebody. I want to break something. Well, there are places you can actually go. They have these axe, those places where you throw axes into the
Mm-hmm.
wood, and
Yep.
there's archery places. You can go and do some kickbox. I mean, there's so many things you can do to physically get that stuff off of you, and you feel so much better. You feel
Mhm.
free. You feel light. So whatever your ritual or routine is, get into it. And keep in mind, there's no silver bullet to this. You're probably going to have
Right.
to do a variety of different
Mm-hmm.
things to keep you anchored and from drifting off. All right, hope that
Yep.
was helpful. Here's a question right here. Mark Miller says, "I hate my wife and I don't know what to do. I've tried everything to win her back. I'm positive it's time to move on." Listen, I want you two to weigh in and then I'm going to follow you up. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so the first thing that jumped out to me is that if you hate your wife, why are you trying to win her back? But I understand the rationale is I hate her because I'm trying everything in it and it's not working. And I completely understand that
Mm.
frustration. And as far as with the being time to move on, that's a decision that you all need to come to. And the question becomes: have you had a candid conversation about how she sees the relationship, and if she does want to move on? And also, too, one of the things that we find in a lot of our sessions, and especially in dealing with men, is that okay, I made this mistake, and I've been doing good for 2 months, and she's still treating me, as if because I did what I did. Well, you've had this going on for 5 years, and this changed behavior has only been for 2 months. And so the question then becomes that we often see is: are you changing because you want to win your wife back, or are you changing because you recognize this character flaw in your behavior and recognize that I need to do some things differently for me? And so that's one of the questions that you really want to ask yourself. And even again, the very beginning of your statement indicates that you're not going to win your wife back if you hate her. And so really taking a
Mm,
long, hard look at yourself, and,
mm,
and being honest about what it is that you want, and owning the challenges and the things that you may have done to put yourselves in this
mm,
situation, and being
mm.
honest and forthright about that.
But for me,
Phenomenal answer. What I would add to that is you say you don't know what to do. So I'm going to tell you what to do if you're serious. There is a book that you can get. It's called What Radical Husbands Do:
mm,
How to Win Your Wife's Heart Back After an Affair.
Mm,
And it gives a step by step, 12-step plan to win her back. If you're serious and you don't know what to do, what we believe in is rule number one. What's rule number one? Who It's in the form of a question. Who do you listen to? You listen
mm,
to people who have what you want and have been where you are. And so that's a phenomenal rule number one book that I would highly recommend. Get it. It's only 14, 15 bucks on Amazon, and just read it and work the strategies because it will work. And with that recommendation, someone else asked a question. I saw it further
right.
down.
I saw that
Is
too.
there a book for females, for women?
mm.
Here it is. Do you
Hmm.
have a book for women that is comparable to What Radical Husbands Do for Men? I personally can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe you two know it, but listen, what I would say is, even though that is written for men, it's written for anyone who has betrayed their spouse and wants to win their spouse back. Because I've read that book inside out, I know that there are particular principles that anybody could apply. So maybe if that's your spouse, get the book and have her read it together, because it applies. I don't think it's gender specific. Obviously there are unique differences to the females and males in terms of how we deal with things, but I think there's enough in there to help you through. Any thoughts on from you two in terms of a book recommendation?
Not right now.
Hmm.
Can't think of one right
Yeah,
now.
no, not me either. Not for women.
Another
What?
book but here's a book I would recommend, right? So the number one most requested book that I really promote, and I didn't write it, but it's phenomenal. It's by Shirley Glass. It's entitled Not Just Friends. Okay. It is probably this thick, right? Like, for instance, I have a book here. It's probably about this thick, but it is an incredible book. If you're not a reader, go ahead on it. Go ahead on Audible and get the Audible, right? And listen to it with your spouse. I actually give it as a homework assignment for couples that I do counseling with. because what happens is the spouse who is the offender usually is ignorant of the
Mm-hmm.
impact of an affair. The
Mhm.
betrayed spouse, it's like they go and get their PhD in everything that's about infidelity because they're trying to understand how could this happen. And so
Right.
I would encourage you to get that book, listen to it together, because it will walk you through a restoration process in that book. So there it is. Listen, guys, I hope this is helping you. You're watching Ask the Experts. We'll be right back after this quick announcement. Stay right there. All right, you're watching Ask the Expert, and I'm here with Walter and Charmaine Jennings. We're answering these questions. Listen, we have about 13 more minutes to go. There's a lot of questions here, so we're going to do some bullet questions, bullet answers, so we don't all have to respond. But I trust the wisdom from any one of their mouths, so I know it's going to be exactly what we need. All right, so here we go. What'd you
Sonny, I
say?
got to rewind. Can I please rewind? I did come up with something that I really wanted to share on that last one. Those first few words, I hate my wife. I definitely want to encourage you in that a lot of times when we get frustrated or out of anger, sometimes we'll attack a problem instead of the situation. And so there is a book, and the five languages of apology. I do. That's one of my favorite because it is a process, but also learning too that a lot of times we're not happy with our choices, the choices of our partner. So it's really important to know their apology language and also how we show up. And so sometimes our partners, they're big on you expressing regret. Sometimes your partner, their apology language may be accepting responsibility is big. Maybe others, it's the restitution piece or the genuine repentance. And so each of us have that process or requesting forgiveness. And so it's really going to be important as you go forward in that process. One, make sure your words align with what you want. And really you might hate the situation, you might hate the current place that you're in, but not necessarily your partner. And so really start to make sure your words are aligning with what you want to see happen.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, we got a bunch of questions here. So
Uh-oh.
let's jump right in. Charmaine Pino, I told my husband he needs to have communication with the children, but he's saying that all he needs to do is just go out with them. They don't need to talk things out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, there definitely needs to be some candid conversations with children, obviously age appropriate, because what you'll find is that especially with children, they're a lot more cognizant and aware of what's going on than you think they are, especially in this day and age of accessibility of information. Children need that, they need, first of all, to talk to adults that they can trust about some of the questions that they have, because if they are not talking to you, they are talking to someone, and if they're not talking to you, more than likely they're probably being misinformed. So it's important to have the not only time with your children but productive time. So I would recommend gently continuing to push quality time and asking them questions, getting to know your children, and challenging your spouses. Hey, did you know that so and so is into this, or did you know that so and so is into that? Those things, are those kind of leading questions, or those kind of facts about children, especially when it comes to men and them not knowing. That not knowing will oftentimes get a man to become more inquisitive when it comes to time with his children.
There it is. All right, let's go to another one. Cali Power Couple. Hey, Asani, I've read the book. It's crazy good what radical husbands do. I highly recommend it as well. You told me about the book in a session I had. Thank you for confirming that. So if that is you who needs to get that book. You just heard from somebody. All right, here's another question. JG, after the pain of infidelity, how do I deal with the challenging question of, is it still love, or am I just used to being with my husband? Why now, 3 years after D-Day, and things feel so much better? Well, maybe it is love and you're used to being with him. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's not either or, it's both and. And guess what? That's okay. See, what I've learned is that there's two different languages, two different laws. There's the law of attraction and then the law of attachment.
Yes.
The in love feeling, the attraction that you initially had, generally lasts for 2 years, the in love feeling, then it withers and wanes and transitions to a more mature type love. So you may not feel like I'm as attracted or whatever the case may be. But the law of attachment keeps you in the relationship. Why? Because your finances are attached to him, your children are attached to him. Maybe the community, your church is attached to him. You have a certain lifestyle that's attached to him. And detaching yourself from him potentially detaches you from all those other things. It's almost like ripping your arm off, dropping it on the ground, and just walking away. You've become one over these many years. So I do believe it's love, and I believe you're just used to your husband, and that's a good thing, right? And if he's doing the work that's necessary to restore the relationship, then so be it. Keep doing what you do. I'm gonna get this question over to you guys. Jerry Lee says, our toxic situation caused so much collateral damage. It attributed to my 16-year-old daughter's attempted suicide. After 6 days in the hospital, she's getting proper help, but the incident has brought us closer.
Hmm.
Not really a
Wow.
question, but a statement.
Right. Well, I definitely we're thankful that your daughter is on the road to recovery and getting healthy, and that is bringing you all closer as a family. Um, in this situation, she was definitely holding some things in, usually leading up to an attempt like that. There's some things that were being repressed. So, even going back to our previous conversation and the power of sitting our children down, really having those transparent conversations with them about we, as adults, sometimes we make bad choices. Good people can make bad choices, right? But when we fall, we may fall 5 times, but it's important to get up 7, right? You fall 7 times, get up 8. And so, yes, when it comes to our children, we have to sit down. They hear, they see. We're modeling for them how to really recover when things don't necessarily go the way we want them to, or when our choices aren't always in alignment with the people who we want to be. And so, we're thankful that your daughter is on the road to recovery, and yes, continue to talk as a family
Mm-hmm.
about how you recover when things get out of alignment with your core values.
Excellent answer. Walter, this is for you. This is from Felicia Carter. It's been a while since my husband's infidelity, and because of not dealing with it, it has left me so empty, and that in turn has left the marriage in a very desperate state. He thinks I should just be okay by now. So I'm now at fault because I haven't healed yet.
Mm.
Yeah, it sounds like there needs to be some candid conversation with your husband about where you are. Obviously, some individual work needs to be done, but again, there is no time. There's no timeline on your healing. It you know that it could take, again, as far as with a lot of times what happens is that couples are trying to get back to a place. I want us to get back to where we were. I want us to get back to this. There is no going back. There's only moving forward. So we're starting over and we're starting from now. But the great thing is that there can be a fresh new place that your marriage can go to that you didn't anticipate. Again, you're not you wish that what happened didn't happen, but at the same time, it can become a conduit to make you stronger and draw you closer together. So I think there needs to be a really clear conversation about how this has impacted you, some of the struggles and the challenges that you are having with it, and then you all partnering together on some of the things that you need in order to be able to move forward in a whole healthy way individually and then collectively.
Love that answer. Now that he's the good cop, I'm gonna be the bad cop. Okay? So my question to you and to everyone else that is a betrayed spouse, are you doing the work?
There it
Because the
is.
reality is
Mhm.
it will take, generally speaking, up to 2 years to heal
Mhm.
Mhm.
if you're doing the work.
Mhm.
But if you're not doing the work, you might as well add a zero to that too. It
Mhm.
could take you 20 years. It could be for the rest of your life. And what we know is that generally speaking, you have betrayed spouses that want the unfaithful spouse to figure it out. You got unfaithful spouses that want the betrayed spouse to figure it out. And we're looking at each other instead of
Fast.
looking within,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
you have to do, and I'm not saying you're not, sis. I'm not even suggesting that. It's more of a question because I don't know. But what I do know is that people who are stuck and trapped in pain,
Mhm.
okay, there it is. I don't know the work to do.
There you
Got
go.
it. Got
Okay,
it.
there it
Yeah.
is. I appreciate that. This is good. This is
Excellent.
why I love Ask the Expert because it's in real time. Okay.
Mhm.
Good. Hmm.
I don't mean, listen, when I say this, it is not self serving. When I
Mhm.
say reach out to us, it's not because I'm trying to benefit. I want you to benefit. See, the
Hmm.
fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people who are therapists and practitioners and social workers and psychologists and mental health professionals, and we're going to them looking for help, and they're not qualified because they don't have either the experience or the expertise to guide us through a process. So if we've tried counseling before, we're frustrated because it just didn't work, and we assume that the next counselor is going to be like the previous counselor. And the reason why we're here, and the reason why we do Ask the Experts and the Couples Academy show, is we want to make ourselves known to the world because we are the ones that you've been waiting for. Not that we're not the only answer. There's many great people out there, but we've made ourselves available to you, given you an appetizer. We've given you a taste test through these conversations in this show to build up enough trust and confidence in you to say, let me give this thing a try. Because guess what? I don't know how to heal. So let me get with ones who can share with me what I need to do. So I'm talking to you. I'm not calling you out, I'm calling you up. And
Mhm.
Hmm.
I'm saying reach out to us at Couples Academy. Our website is the couplesacademy.org website. Is 678-200-8996. We would love to work with you to get you out of your pain. You don't have to live there. That does not have to
Absolutely.
become your permanent address. We got to dig you out of the pit, right? To get you on solid ground so that you can have an incredible life and an incredible marriage. So I appreciate you for saying that because I'm going to call you up, sis. And I'm calling each and every one of you who are on this show, those who are watching live, there's some who are going to listen to the replay. I'm talking to you. What are you doing? Because if you're not doing anything, you're signing up for a lifetime of pain. We don't want you to have that. Anything you want to add to that, Walter and Charmaine?
No, Felicia says she is coming. Tickets
Says
purchased. We
she'll
will
be
be
there
ready.
in
Yes, we
March.
want to see
Boom.
you.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Yes.
Boom, love it. Listen, guys, I hope you got something out of tonight's show. This is Ask the Experts. I tell you, I'm average at best. I'm glad that I have two powerhouses, Walter and Charmaine Jennings, who are able to join the conversation to give the real meat to what you need to change your life around. Listen, today is Wednesday, which means that we'll be back on Thursday. And once again, Last Chance Weekend is this weekend. Pray for us. We have work to do. We have kingdom work to do because we're here to
Yes.
save some marriages and kick the devil in the butt. All right, guys. Love you very much. See you in the morning for the Couples Academy show.